Just had a man pick me up for a date. He asked me if I was a man in the car. I said yes. This man turns around and takes me back home. Now, this is a very prime example of somewhat fragile masculinity, but also dishonesty.
Before we get into the content, let's have a quick conversation, all right? Now, I want everybody watching this video to go into this conversation as objective as what you possibly can. We're going to hear some things within this that I don't believe in, but we got to have these conversations because I realize that the more that we do content, we're all just subject of our own algorithms. If you have a belief towards something and you look towards that content, you're going to find validating opinions for your biases in that content. That's just the way the algorithms operate right now. So although we have the spirit of the internet where we are all on it and we can see the information, we're all presented with different information, which is going to adhere to our biases and never speak towards the contrary. You have these people with these ideologies that you're like, how did you even get there? Nevertheless, platforms like myself try to critically think about the information, put the pros, put the cons, put point A, put point B, put them together so we can have a critical conversation. I say all this to say is that having a conversation about trans people, right? The content of this video is a biological man now presenting as a woman got rejected on a date and taken right home when the man of that date asked this person, hey, were you born a man? And their reaction to it's fascinating. So we got to go into it, but YouTube considers trans people like protected groups. So this video more than likely will get demonetized. So with that being said, shout out to today's sponsor, Aura. All right. When you click on that link down below, you're not only supporting myself as a content creator, but you're also supporting yourself, removing your private information off of these public facing websites out of the hands of scammers, miscreants, and perhaps that crazy ex or person within your life that you don't want identifiable information on the interweb. And having a service like Aura being able to scrape that for you is absolutely paramount, and it's who I trust. Nevertheless, if you want to support me as a content creator, click on that link down below. I'll have an ad somewhere in the middle of this video. Feel free to see more information in regards to it. Nevertheless, though, I want to have this conversation because we're modern men in modern times, so we have to face modern things that happen, and as well as modern women as well. So let's encroach on this conversation the best way that we know how. Let's listen.
Just had a man pick me up for a date. He asked me if I was a man in the car. I said yes. This man turns around and takes me back home. Now, this is a very prime example of somewhat fragile masculinity, but also dishonesty. Not on my end, but on the end of the suitor. I met him last Friday at a club when I was out with my girlfriends. At some point, we duck off, we're talking, we're chatting, we're dancing, we're like really having a good time. We're throwing banter back and forth, we're being flirty, all these things. Mind you, I'm flat-chested as fuck. I am not a woman. I'm just a very beautiful man. Proceeds to kiss me, XYZ, right? Has been texting me every day since last Friday when I gave him my number. He proceeds to tell me in the car, I don't really know how to ask this, or, I really just don't know how to bring this up, but are you a man? And I looked at him and I was like, yes, I am. I'm just a very feminine man. He pulls over and he's like, I just want to sit over and just like kind of talk about this for a second. I've never been in this position before, so I'm just like not really sure how to handle it. I had an inkling of a thought, but I didn't want to ask you and you be offended if you were not. However, it's just not something that I'm into particularly. And I think that's part of a bigger conversation as it relates to Black men being interested in just feminine energy, period.
Okay.
He proceeded to apologize and he's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just felt like I needed to get this off my chest and at least just ask. But if I'm being honest, I was just like, okay, yeah, that's fine. No harm, no foul. It's all good. He's like, is it okay if I just, turn around and take you back home? I'm like, absolutely. Yes, please.
All right, I wanted to play her story initially, and we're only 50% in the content. I wanted to go back and begin to break down her points piece by piece. But first, I know there will be people down there that will say this is cap, this is an actor, this person presents so much like a woman. And then I found this other TikTok of
if you're
them on the beach.
To book the flight, I just want to be a vacation.
Okay. So I won't play any more from that, but yes, this is a biological man. Now that we have established reality, let's get back up into his talking points. Let's go.
Man picked me up for a date. He asked me if I was a man in the car. I said yes. This man turns around and takes me back home. Now, this is a very prime example of somewhat fragile masculinity, but also dishonesty.
And let me be clear, I'm saying as he should have, because she says that it's fragile masculinity. And in fact, this has nothing whatsoever to do with fragile masculinity. And it has everything to do with being lied to, being dishonest with that man. Being a straight heterosexual man should not be confused with having masculinity and not wanting to accept feminine looking, if not presenting people. Masculinity and heterosexuality are markedly different things. You can have outwardly masculine oriented dudes that are gay. And you confusing that and attempting to shame this man based off of his behavior of wanting a heterosexual relationship is nasty work. In order to justify your behavior, you incorrectly shame his masculinity, where if you took accountability, you'd be honest about your own dishonesty in the way that you were presenting. Quick emergency meeting. I was recently searching for my name online and found way too much personal information, which brought me down this weird rabbit hole of how that could have happened, and found out that there's companies out there called data brokers that will sell your data to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And it's a nasty, disgusting feeling knowing that there's bad actors out there selling my information, selling your information for profit. But that's why I'm recommending today's sponsor, Aura. Now, I use Aura to automatically remove my information from these sites and keep my information off. But they do other things as well, such as bank fraud and identity theft alerts, VPN access. But guys, utilize my link down in the description box down below for a 14-day trial. At least see if you've been compromised. Privacy is king in this day and age, and you should know if your information is out there. So again, utilize my link, aura.com/MTR, in the description box down below to try 2 weeks free. That's way more than enough time to see if your personal data has been exposed. Go now.
Not on my end, but on the end of the suitor. I met him last Friday at a club when I was out with my girlfriends. At some point, we duck off, we're talking, we're chatting, we're dancing, we're like really having a good time. We're throwing banter back and forth, we're being flirty, all these things. Mind you, I am flat-chested as fuck.
Who cares?
I am not a woman. I'm just a very beautiful man. Proceeds to kiss me, XYZ, right? Has been texting me every day since last Friday when I gave him my number.
I hate to break it to you, sir, but there are a lot of women, natural-born women out there that are flat-chested. I am not going to blame him for not realizing, at least initially or immediately, that he was actually speaking to a biologically born man. But this more so points to that if they are unwilling to be upfront and truthful with you, how much more hoops as men we have to jump through in order to ensure reality. I don't even know at this point whether or not you ask for baby pictures. Well, I don't know, because babies kind of look androgynous to a degree as well, right? But the point is that it's getting more and more difficult to understand reality, especially when they justify their own behaviors with having flat chests.
He proceeds to tell me in the car, I don't really know how to ask this, or, you know, I really just don't know how to bring this up, but are you a man? And I looked at him and I was like, yes, I am. I'm just a very feminine man. He pulls over and he's like, I just want to sit over and just like kind of talk about this for a second. I've never been in this position before, so I'm just like not really sure how to handle it. I had an inkling of a thought, but I didn't want to ask you and you be offended if you were not. However, it's just not something that I'm into particularly. And I think that's part of a bigger conversation as it relates to Black men being interested in just feminine energy, period. He proceeded to apologize and he's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just like felt like I needed to get this off my chest and at least just ask. But if I'm being honest, I was just like, okay, yeah, like that's fine. Like no harm, no foul. Like it's all good. He's like, is it okay if I just, turn around and take you back home? I'm like, absolutely, yes, please.
It does not bring about a conversation of black men being interested into feminine energy if that feminine energy is wrapped around an eggplant and balls. Take this entire context and switch it around. Let's say that this is like all of this beginning and you take a lovely young lady out on at a date and it's a biological woman, but you show up to the date and she got a big old face tattoo, a big old tiger tattoo right here. And you're looking at her like, hey, is that real? And they say, yeah, it's real. Where was that when I met you at the club? Oh, I was wearing makeup then, so it covered it completely up. Oh, okay. So you walk around with a face tattoo naturally, huh? You don't need to question my masculinity or shame me for not wanting to date you because you have a face tattoo, because that is a decision that you made within your life, and you have to face whatever consequences that become of that decision. Not letting me know that you have something as important to your image as a face tattoo is being dishonest. Now, there are culturally acceptable dishonest things that both men and women do to each other within the dating game, okay? Now, a woman wearing a weave, okay, culturally acceptable. We know that your hair not that long or it looks like that texture, okay? But culturally acceptable. What these people are trying to do is to alter or to change the boundaries of what is considered acceptable dishonesty. How dangerous of a situation that you have put yourself in, because although it sounds like this brother is more response oriented and not reaction oriented, is showing you respect within the illumination of what it is that you're bringing to his front door. But there's many men out there that would not end this date so amicably.
Sat there in silence as he did a U-turn and literally dropped me back off. But it goes to show that sexuality truly is a spectrum. And while people may not be into whatever parts people have or whatever the case may be, people are just attracted to energy, period, which is okay. That's totally fine. I completely respect that. I'm not one of those gays that are like, I'm going to go get the trade and do this, that, and the third. That's really not my vibe. And if you are, pop off queen, do your big one. But I guess my biggest problem is if you had an inkling of a thought or you felt any type of way, you should have quite literally just asked and been honest from the very beginning. Here, I spent an hour and a half getting ready for a date, not really into it, but I was open to, just seeing what happens, what would, transpire out of the whole situation. And yet, here we are. Now, this is a first for me. I've never had this happen to me before. This is something new to me. I'm not humbled in the slightest because I'm a bad bitch. Look at me. Hello. And I know this is not in vain. I know that God has a partner for me out in the world, wherever he may be. But that shit was crazy as fuck. And for my theys, my girls, my dolls out there in the world, y'all be safe out there. Truly just be safe. Because for a slight moment in time, I was actually kind of scared for a minute.
Yep.
But yeah, y'all, I don't know. Am I tripping? Y'all let me know what y'all think, because I've quite literally never experienced anything like this before. Oh my God, I'm kind of floored.
I find it fascinating that as a gay man that is presenting as a woman requires the onus of communication to be on the suitor or the heterosexual man within this, especially when you are saying you need to be safe out there. And when you're saying that you were in this car situation with this man and you were a bit fearful, it is you within the nuance of your situation. And let me introduce to you some empathy on the guy's perspective. Can you imagine if he asked you and you were not? That might be the deal breaker. This person may actually be attracted to you, but if are you a man? A natural born woman gonna be like, bitch. So it may not be easy. Now, at the same time, you can understand how good the surgeons and the hormone therapies have gotten. Cut us a break over here. Look, he looks like a woman to me. At least just from the face up. We can't see Adam's apple or the shoulders or nothing like that. But nevertheless, my point being that if this is your lifestyle, then disclosing the truth sooner rather than later needs to be incumbent on you. We've all seen the multiple situations in our news stories. I've gone over them on this platform of cases just like this where they turned out violent and some of them deadly because this information was not disclosed. I actually think in the last news story that I went over, it's because the trans person actually tried to extort the man and the man was like, wait, what? And that ended the trans person's life. I think the prioritization of honesty, being upfront and careful out there should be incumbent on you. As the guys out here, we gotta just ask nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Messing around, gaining an attraction for someone with a bigger twig and berries than you is absolutely absurd. All right, let's finish up.
But anyway, on to the next, babes. That's fine. To Mr. Sir.
Mr. Sir.
Good luck to you.
Mrs.
And yeah, I don't know, y'all. I just, it's just so funny. I'm like literally just sitting here in silence, like, oh my God, like I need to like talk to someone about this. But anyway, okay. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I don't know.
Okay. let me bring this up on the screen right here. Cause see, the bigger issue in all of this is not the deception in itself. Like we can have a cultural conversation in regards to that, but it's the culture that excuses it. That's the bigger conversation, or the culture that tries to widen the boundaries of what is culturally acceptable lies, right? Or stretches of truth, all right? We've created an environment where now men have to walk on eggshells for fear of retribution of asking these very now real modern day questions, while the other side gets to redefine honesty to fit whatever they're trying to do or whatever agendas that they have. And then that happens. And then nobody wins. So really the real lesson within all of this is, listen, be truthful upfront about who you are and what it is that you want. Don't let society just bully you into silence, because outside of this person's definition of masculinity, masculinity in and of itself is not about aggression or hate. It can be about confrontation and then standing firm in your own respect. And you have to remember that, because at the end of the day, all right, a lie might get you attention, but the honesty earns you respect. And that, my brothers, is what we should all be striving for. All right, now that YouTube has gone through and officially demonetized this video, but we've had this conversation, and that's where that's what I wanted to have. Guys, drop me a comment down below. Drop me a like down below. Did you think that this person was a woman when you first clicked over the video, right? Would you have been able to tell with a couple of drinks within a dark setting, right? With the music blaring in the background so you can't really hear the vocal tonalities, all right? I want to hear from the women as well. What do you think about gay men presenting like women? Because they're your competition. They are your competition in a sense of men that I guess they wouldn't be a competition, because the heterosexual man is not going to go for this, right? But they are looking at your style. They're looking at the way that you dress. They get your same makeup line. What is it that y'all think about that? I am very interested to hear what y'all got to say about this as well. And as well as if there's any LGBTQ people that are watching this channel, I want to hear y'all perspective as well. Do y'all feel like you shouldn't be upfront with this information? Huh? I just don't understand. For your own protection, why would you not want to be? Last point on this. I find it funny when I do content on like overseas, and I might talk about my time in Thailand, right? And the common modern shaming thing that they try to do to like the passport bros is like, oh yeah, lady boy, like there's man women walking around up over there. Meanwhile, my experience in Thailand is if the person is trans and it's a lady boy, they let you know up front, lady bar, how it is that they say it. They'll say it right up at front. Yeah, you know what I mean? But it's not like this undercover, like, let me not tell you, let me just assume that you already know because I'm flat chested. Like, it's none of that. They just say what it is, so then you can make that decision. All right? Let me know what y'all think in the comment box down below. This has been Real Conversation. Shout out again to Aura for sponsoring this video, and I will see you guys soon. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.
Oh, man, yo, if only Kevin Samuels was alive to see this. The prettiest women do the ugliest things. Already know what time it is. It is time to get active.
Gotta subscribe, it's MTR. Hit the like, leave a comment, it's free of charge. Get active, no acting, we men at large. Without further ado, let's set it off. Excuse me.